Hello, I am Nina Anderson. I'm the Director of the Office of Equity and Diversity, and I'm also the Title IX Coordinator here at Monmouth.
Hello, my name is Amy Arlequin. I'm the Deputy Title IX Coordinator and Clery Compliance Officer.
Hi, I'm Shannon Colleen. I'm the Assistant Vice President for Student Life.
Hello, I am Harold Hilliard. I'm the Assistant Director for Residential Life and Judicial Affairs.
And we decided to create this video so that we can talk to everybody about a very important topic and policies and procedures on our campus that pertain to sexual misconduct. Title IX, sexual assault, sexual harassment, all of that falls under the umbrella of sexual misconduct on our campus. It is the term that we use to include everything from unwanted touching up through and including rape. It includes dating violence, domestic violence, and stalking. Amy, can you talk a little bit about domestic violence in Monmouth County and what makes it unique?
Sure. What's unique about domestic violence in Monmouth County is that in addition to the traditional instances of domestic violence, such as a dating relationship or a family relationship, in Monmouth County, domestic violence also applies to any individuals who have access to the same bathroom. So if you're in a living situation where you have a roommate, a suite mate, something like that, if you get into a physical altercation, whether it happens on campus or off campus, in your house or not in your house, if you have access to the same bathroom, that would be domestic violence under the criminal law. And if somebody has a mark on them in Monmouth County, that is a mandatory arrest and a night in the county jail. It would also pull you under the university sexual misconduct policy for domestic violence as well.
Thank you, Amy. One of the reasons we want to provide you with this information is oftentimes people think, well, this is never going to be me. I'm never going to be involved in a sexual misconduct case. I'm not going to know anyone who's going to be involved in a sexual misconduct case. Unfortunately, like every other college in the United States, Monmouth is not immune to cases of sexual misconduct. We want to make sure that you have this information so that you understand that you might be involved, whether you're personally involved or whether you're the support person for a friend. We want to make sure that you're aware of the resources that are available to you.
What does sexual misconduct look like at Monmouth University? Sexual misconduct at Monmouth doesn't generally happen in the way that you would see on TV, such as Law & Order. It's not a stranger jumping out of the bushes and brutally attacking someone. It's more likely to be an acquaintance or someone you know, such as a classmate, teammate, or friend. On this campus, alcohol or some other drugs are usually being used by at least one person, if not involved with all parties. Alcohol and drug use could limit an individual's ability to provide the required consent under the law and university policy. Nina, can you talk about consent?
Sure, I'm happy to talk about consent, but before I do, I just want to go through just two quick terms. One is respondent, which is the person who's been accused of committing some type of sexual misconduct, and the other is complainant, who is the person who is bringing forth a complaint of sexual misconduct being perpetrated against them. You might hear that terminology come up, or you certainly would see it if you read through the policies. Consent is what drives sexual misconduct on our campus, and I imagine every other campus. In New Jersey, consent is defined as an ongoing, freely given affirmative response. Here at Monmouth, that means that you need to say yes to everything that happens every single time, no matter what the circumstances are. It doesn't matter if you're in a long-term relationship with somebody. It doesn't matter if you just met them in the parking lot and you're hooking up with them. It doesn't matter if this is somebody you've been dating since high school. You have to give and get consent every single time you're having any type of sexual encounter with someone. And that involves every party that's involved. So again, if you have two people who are engaging in an encounter together, both people need to be giving consent to everything that happens every step of the way. If there are 3 people, 4 people, 8 people involved, all 3, 4, and 8 need to give consent for everything that happens. What does it look like? It looks like you asking and giving a response every single time to everything that happens. May I place my hand on your shoulder? Yes, you may place your hand on my shoulder. May I place my hand on your back? Yes, you may place my hand on my back, which is probably the opposite of what you have in mind in terms of what is sexy. But I'm here to tell you that you need to stop being sexy if that's what it means and start getting consent, because the expectation and the requirement is that everybody involved gives consent to everything that happens every single time. And you cannot give consent through emojis or text messages or something like that. We often get people who will come in with their phone and show us an entire chain of peaches and eggplants and cucumbers and explain to us that this is consent. And our response is that that is, in fact, not consent. Again, consent needs to be given in the moment, and it needs to be communicated clearly between the partners. You cannot use emojis or text messages to give and get consent.
So you have four options in regards to reporting an incident of sexual misconduct at Monmouth University. The first option is you can report an incident of sexual misconduct with the police department in the jurisdiction where the incident occurred. If you need assistance getting started, our Monmouth University Police Department can assist you in getting in contact with the correct police department. If the incident of sexual misconduct occurred on university property, you can contact MUPD to file a police report. Your second option is you can report the incident of sexual misconduct to the Office of Judicial Affairs and have the option to pursue charges under the Student Code of Conduct as long as the respondent is a current Monmouth University student. Your third option is you can choose both, reporting or filing charges with the police department in the jurisdiction where the incident occurred and filing charges under the Student Code of Conduct. Your fourth option is to do none of the above. It is up to you as the victim to decide what options you would like to pursue in reporting an incident of sexual misconduct.
I want to take time now to talk a little bit more about the option how we talked about regarding filing charges again within the Student Code of Conduct. The Student Code of Conduct is a code that all students have agreed to follow. Sexual misconduct is a violation of our Student Code of Conduct. The process happens when a student would come in and meet with us to go through this process. My office's job is to remain a neutral party that gathers information. So we work with both the complainant and the respondent to gather information that will eventually be brought to a panel. When I say information, I mean statements from people. Those could be including text messages, photos, video, any information that either party feels is relevant to the case. I want to point out it's important to give us all the information and not to worry about other charges that may stem because of possible violations of our alcohol or drug policy. You'll be given amnesty through this process. So if you have a concern that information that you're going to share with us may also talk about use that you had of alcohol or drugs at the time of the incident, we will not pursue those as charges. As we gather this information, we will gather the information in order to have it brought to a hearing panel. A hearing panel are 3 people, an administrator, a faculty member, and a student. It's their job to review the information, to hear from both parties, to hear from any other witnesses that are presented, and eventually to deliberate to decide whether or not a code of conduct violation took place. The way they do that is they come to a determination as to whether or not the standard of evidence has been met. For our campus, that standard is more likely true than not, meaning that if the scales of justice are 50-50, it would have to be 50% and a feather in order for a violation to have occurred. If the panel deems a violation has occurred, then they will then determine what the appropriate sanctions are for that offense. Both parties, after that decision has been rendered, also have an appeal process that's open to them. And it's my office's job to help you through that process. Amy, do you want to talk about other resources that are available?
Yes, thank you, Shannon. We have 2 confidential resources on campus that I wanted to point out, and you can go to either of these 2 offices, and anybody that you talk to will keep that information completely confidential and will not share it with anybody on campus. One is Counseling and Psychological Services, which is located on the 3rd floor of the Student Center. The other is Health Services, which is located on the residential side of campus in Birch Hall. Any other Monmouth University employee that receives information concerning an incident of sexual misconduct is required to report it to mine and Nina's office. These reports many times do come in at first without any names. However, given the nature of the incident and the facts, we may require that we find out the names of the individuals so that we can reach out to them. There are some other supportive measures that are available to parties that have been involved in an incident of sexual misconduct. If they have classes together, if they live in the same residence hall, if they work in the same on-campus job, we can work to rearrange, we can work with the individuals to rearrange housing situations, we can work to rearrange class schedules, make adjustments to work schedules. This is available to the parties whether or not anybody decides to go through a process. However, if no process has been gone through and there hasn't been a determination made of whether somebody is responsible or not responsible, these accommodations would be made on an equitable basis. So it would be a give and take between the two individuals. Nina, could you talk a little bit about our online program, Not Anymore?
Sure. Not Anymore is an online educational program that is available to all of our students. It is available and accessible through the portal. And it's a program that includes not only the policies and procedures that we're reviewing in this video, but also additional information and examples surrounding sexual misconduct, sexual assault, and healthy relationships as well as unhealthy relationships. And it's required for several student populations. If you are a member of one of the populations that is required to complete the program, I encourage you to do so as soon as possible, because if you do not complete the Not Anymore program, you will eventually be blocked from registering for classes for the next semester. And an easy way to avoid that, as well as increase your educational knowledge about this particularly important area, is by going ahead and completing that program. Again, it's called Not Anymore, and it is in your it's accessible through the portal. Additionally, I wanted to just review a little bit about language and terminology, because we have focused on saying sexual misconduct, but Title IX is another term that you may hear that people use to refer to instances of sexual misconduct, sexual harassment, sexual assault, and things of that nature. What Title IX actually is the federal law that prohibits discrimination based on sex. And yes, it absolutely does include all of the things of sexual misconduct that we've been talking about. We have a policy specific to Title IX sexual harassment, as well as our policy for sexual misconduct, as well as our policies regarding discrimination and harassment, all of which are available on the university website. And if you have any questions, concerns, want to have us come in and speak with a group of your friends, or if you're a member of a group, a club, a sorority or a fraternity, you'd like to have us come in and speak with your organization, athletics teams, we are certainly available to do that. And if anybody has any individual questions and wants to reach out to us, we all have an open door policy and invite you to certainly contact us via email or stop by the offices whenever you have an opportunity. Amy and I are located in the Great Hall, room 304, which is located on the 3rd floor. Shannon and Howie?
My office is located in Student Life, which is on the 2nd floor of the Student Center, in the same suite as Student Activities.
My office's semester is located on the 3rd floor of the Student Center in room 309.
Thank you for your attention. And again, we look forward to continuing this conversation with you.